Well, hello there and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best beauty products that I tried in 2021 from the drugstore. I'm actually really excited about the fact that I found so many products that I really enjoyed this year that I was able to split it up between high-end and drugstore. Now, I want to say that I tried a lot of products throughout the year that I enjoyed, but in this video, I'm really only mentioning the ones I really enjoyed, like the ones that became holy grails or almost holy grails. So the first product we're going to be talking about today is the NYX Honey Do Me Up Primer. I discovered this primer earlier this year when I had my makeup done by a professional makeup artist for the very first time. She did ask me what my skin type was, and I let her know that I have dry skin, and this was the primer that she prepped my skin with. The first time this was applied to my skin by her, I wasn't able to actually see what it did, but I knew it had a really nice cooling sensation on my skin. And later on, I would find that it's really plumping and it just really is a perfect smooth canvas for foundation on my skin. I'm sure that a normal or combination skin type would also enjoy this primer. I'm not sure about oily skin types just because of the makeup of the product itself. It's not a very oily product, but I could see it leading to some dewiness that you may not want there before you start your makeup process. I remember though that this primer was really popular not too long ago. I just never got around to trying it until this year. For a drugstore price, it is on the pricey side, but this particular bottle has lasted me throughout the year and I have used it a moderate amount. If I could change anything about this product, it would just be the applicator. It comes with this little flat applicator that is fine when you're applying it to your own skin, but when you are applying it as a makeup artist, I think that it would be better in a pump, or even just for me as a non-makeup artist, I would appreciate a pump instead of just having to smear it anywhere. Moving on, we have a complexion product that actually was released in 2021, and that is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Serum. And I have the shade 6-7 Tan. Now I will say this shade is definitely a little bit light for my skin, but I'm able to make it work. Like I said in an earlier video, I'm actually really surprised at how much I like this product. When it was first announced, I wasn't exactly excited or running to the stores to grab it, but now I'm so excited that I picked it up. This is another product from the drugstore that is on the higher end of the price range, but I do find it worth it because I think it does perform like a high-end product. Now it is called a tinted serum, but it definitely has more of a medium coverage to it, so it can be a little bit misleading if you're expecting something with light coverage. I certainly don't mind it. I do prefer products that are on the medium coverage side anyways. It dries down to where I feel like I don't have to set it, and it has a pretty good wear time for a tinted serum. It also looks really nice and smooth on the skin. It doesn't look heavy at all because it has a really thin, watery consistency. And another thing that I mentioned in an earlier video is the packaging is a little bit annoying. It's a dropper. It gets really messy when you use it, and there's no way to stop yourself from wasting the product that kind of spills out over the sides of the top of the bottle. Again, this is another product that could benefit from just a pump. Another thing that I think they could do is expand the shade range. With it being a medium coverage product, it could definitely lend itself to being expanded in the shade range so that more people could actually use it. I'm lucky that I happen to fall in a shade range that can make it work, but you know, I would appreciate a shade that is actually closer to my shade. This year, I spent a lot of time looking for color correctors, and I found two that I really enjoy, one high-end and one drugstore. And the drugstore one that I found is the Black Radiance True Complexion color correctors, and I have the light peach shade and the deep peach shade. And I like to use the deeper peach shade to color correct around my mouth and the lighter peach shade to color correct under my eyes. The reason why I like these is because they're pigmented enough to actually do the job, cover up the darkness and brighten things up without adding too much coverage and also without looking heavy on the skin. I look for that in a color corrector so that I'm able to layer a concealer over the corrector if need be. I also like the tones in particular of these two shades because they are just enough of that orangey peachy shade to cancel out the hyperpigmentation and darkness on my skin, but not so much so that I'm having to layer up a full coverage concealer or foundation to cover up the actual orange pigment. They're also on the more affordable side, being under $5 each, so you can pick any shades that you like and mix and match them, and they have a great shade range. This Wet n Wild Incognito concealer has to be one of my favorite finds of 2021, It is a great medium coverage concealer. Now typically I actually like a more higher coverage concealer. I like to use medium coverage foundation and then a high coverage concealer. But this medium coverage concealer just lays so beautifully on the skin. It gives you just enough coverage to cover up anything you'd like, but it looks so beautiful and natural on the skin. It calls itself a full coverage concealer, but I think it leans more on the medium side, but you can build it up to a full coverage if you layer it up. The shade that I use is medium tan, and it is more of a highlight concealer shade for under my eyes and not so much for around my mouth. This is another one of the more affordable products on this list, under $5 at Walmart or Target. Now this next product I know has been out forever, and in fact, I might have tried it already back in the day, but I honestly cannot remember, and that is the Rimmel Stay Matte Powders. And I have two shades here. I have Deep Beige and Pecan, and I like to use the Deep Beige shade to set the entire face and the Pecan shade as a bronzer. Now this is another super affordable score at $4 or $5 where you pick it up at Walmart or Target, wherever you can find it. It is just your perfect pressed powder for setting makeup. It is not a powder foundation. It doesn't give you any true coverage, but it does add just a little bit of pigment to the skin when you do set down your makeup. It blurs and smooths the skin ever so slightly, and that's why I wanted to pick it up in a deeper shade to use as a bronzer, because it's so flattering on the skin whether or not you're wearing foundation underneath. The Deep Beige shade I will use to set my entire face, even the under eyes if I'm going for a super light coverage look that day, or if I'm using just like my sunscreen as coverage that day. Or not coverage, but just using just sunscreen that day. The other great thing about the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder is that no matter how much you dig your brush into the powder, it doesn't kick up at all, and therefore you don't pick up too much on your brush. As a person with dry skin, I always want to make sure that I'm not over powdering because it completely ruins the look for me. I never have to worry about that when I use this powder to set my makeup, and it's definitely become a holy grail. As I've mentioned in earlier videos, my brow tastes have really changed this year. I went from a structured brow to a more feathery brow, and now I'm just using gel and brow tint pens. I tried a few drugstore brow tint pens, but my favorite one by far this year was the NYX Lift and Snatch brow tint pen. And in fact, I don't even have one to show you guys because I already ran out of it and haven't been able to repurchase it quite yet. Brow pens in general are really nice because you can get that really nice hair-like stroke with them. So you can do everything from just filling in sparse areas of your brow to really structuring a full brow and still make it look somewhat natural. I like the NYX one in particular because I felt that it was the most foolproof to use of all of the drugstore ones that I tried. For mascara, I spent the first half of the year really sticking to all of my old favorites, my Essence Lash Princess, and so on and so forth. But I did discover two mascaras this year that I really enjoyed. One is a high-end one that you'll hear about in my Best of Beauty high-end video, but the other is the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. Now, this one here is the waterproof version, and I bought it specifically because I got it from my wedding. I am not typically a waterproof mascara kind of gal, simply because of how hard it is to take it off at night. I just don't want to be putting my lashes through that if I don't need to be. But the reason why I love this mascara is because it gives you a lot of beautiful length, that like doe-eyed Bambi kind of length. Especially if you're the type of person that likes length and doesn't really care about volume, this is the perfect kind of mascara for you. Me, I like to switch it up. I like to layer mascaras, and in particular on my wedding day, I wanted something that would really fan out my bottom lashes, but I wasn't too concerned about the volume of my top lashes because I would be wearing false lashes. But even without lashes, this mascara is incredible. If you haven't tried it out, I would definitely give it a shot. This next product probably belongs in the Best of Beauty in 2020 because I honestly could have sworn that I used this way back then because I feel like I've been using this forever, and that is the e.l.f. Seriously Satin lipsticks. I love the shade Nectar, that is my favorite shade, but I also love the shades Cider and Cream. Nectar is a warm peachy nude, a great everyday shade. Cider is a muted red, and Cream is a lighter nude that I generally reach for if I'm looking for that really intense 90s makeup look. I love this formula because it sets down to a satin matte, but it's still really comfortable. It doesn't feel drying on the lips at all, and it has a pretty decent wear time. I would love to see e.l.f. come out with more avant-garde colors like black or green or something like that. Since it's such a nice formula and it's such a great price, I think that more shades would attract way more people to try out this lipstick, because I don't hear people talk about this lipstick enough, in my opinion. I actually love this lipstick so much that I already have the shade Nectar in a backup. I have another lipstick favorite from 2021, and this one is from Milani, and this is the Color Fetish matte lipstick, and I have the shade 420 Tease. I'm actually wearing this on my lips right now underneath some lip gloss. Now, first off, I do want to say that even though the name says it's matte, it's definitely more creamy, so I was a little surprised by that, but I definitely don't mind because it's super comfortable on the lips. And I actually found this when I was on the hunt for my perfect wedding nude. I actually went with a different shade on my actual wedding day, but I still love this nude shade so much. It's really tough finding nude shades for people with my skin tone and deeper because they tend to be a little bit milky or too pink or just lean in some sort of way that isn't actually flattering. As you can tell by the way it looks on me right now, it is very flattering for my skin tone. Of course, you want to pair it with an appropriate lip liner, which brings me to the final product of my 2021 Drugstore Beauty favorites, and that is the NYX Matte Lip Liner Pencil in the shade Downtown Beauty. And I gotta tell you guys, this shade is a lifesaver, and I know that sounds dramatic, but it's because I was using the KKW Nude 2 lip liner for the longest time, and of course they were discontinued, and by the time I actually felt like maybe picking it up, seeing if it was like on a discount or something, of course completely sold out and you couldn't get your hands on it anymore. And I was just on the search for a nice beautiful brown shade to be able to line my lips for my wedding day, and just as an everyday brown lip liner shade. Now, compared to the KKW shade, this is darker and more neutral, but I don't have a problem with that. I actually like this shade a little bit more. I think it complements more lipsticks in my collection than the KKW one does. And I didn't expect to actually still have the KKW one at this time, so, you know. But I'll compare them for you so you can see. All right, here is KKW. As you can see, it's a pinky brown nude, beautiful. And then here is Downtown Beauty. I mean, to be honest with you the differences there are slight, so I don't know, maybe that might be considered a dupe. Anyways, that wraps up my top 2021 best of beauty from the drugstore this year. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you will stick around for the high-end version of this as well as the skincare version of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you are having a fantastic holiday season. Bye.